Welcome back to another session of DevOps. Today we'll see how to launch EC2 instance with Linux operating system. Joining, let's wait for 1 minute, okay? And we can start after 1 minute, okay? So if you guys have any doubts with respect to the yesterday's class, how to launch EC2 instance in Windows, you guys can ask. The Google Drive is being set up, so that's the reason I didn't share the screenshot yesterday. And today I'll share the both the screenshots, the steps of Windows as well as Linux in the WhatsApp group and the Google Drive. Okay. Yeah, hi Saima. Today I'll share you the document. Okay, I'll share the document in the WhatsApp group as well as Google Drive. The Google Drive is being set up by the Durgasoft team, so it will take some time. So that's the reason I didn't share yesterday. Today I'll share it. So guys, so let's start. So yesterday we have discussed how to launch an EC2 instance with Windows operating system and how to connect to that Windows operating system using RDP protocol, right? So we have launched an instance and after that we have opened our MSTSC, okay, which is the RDP protocol, and we have given the credentials and all like this, right? And we have connected and we have seen the server going live. Now today we'll see how to launch EC2 instance in Linux. Okay, so before that let me tell you that we need a software called Putty. Okay, so what is Putty and all, let's try to understand that. Okay, one sec. So guys, if anyone has joined for the first time, please let me know in the chat box. Okay, so guys who have joined first time, this is our second class. Yesterday we have completed our first class. We have launched an instance means a server in AWS. Okay, for practicing the Linux and the commands and all, we need servers, right? So yesterday we have seen how to launch a server in AWS with Windows operating system, and today is the second class. We are launching our instance in EC2 with Linux operating system. Okay, so you guys didn't miss anything much. You can see the video of yesterday's class in the Google Drive. Okay, and if you have any queries with respect to the course and all, you can ask by the end of the class. Okay, fine. So we were discussing how to launch an EC2 instance. Okay, so before that, let me tell you. Okay, so here, while launching the instances, there is something called downloading the key. Okay, key. Yesterday we have seen this, right? So AWS has AWS has introduced this additional feature of security okay, while launching the instances, which adds an additional layer of security, okay, because they have added this feature so that uh, to prevent unauthorized login, okay. So while launching the instances, okay, you need to download a key which will have a PEM extension, .pem. Every key will have a .pem, okay. PEM extension will be there for the file. We have seen that yesterday, right? Now PEM stands for privacy enhanced email, okay. So privacy, PEM stands for privacy enhanced mail, okay. So this file has a SSL based encryption, okay. This file has a SSL based encryption which simply encrypts the data and stores it. What are the password is there, right, inside the file. That the password is encrypted with a SSL based format, okay. It is using SSL based encryption format to encrypt the data which is present inside it, and it stores it. So here AWS is encrypting the private and public key data which is present inside that file, and which is required for logging into the server, and stores it using this PEM file, okay. So this PEM file has SSL based encryption. Encryption. Okay. This file has SSL based encryption which simply encrypts the data and stores it. Okay. So AWS is encrypting the private and public key data, and it is storing the passwords and all inside this file, and we are using this file to logging into the servers. Okay. Now to connect it to a Linux machine, to Linux server, okay, what we can do, we need a SSH tool. Since we are logging in from a cross platform, which means that, see, this is my laptop, which is in Windows. I'm right. I'm using Windows 10. So from Windows 10, I'm going to connect it to Linux server, right? Linux server. So I'm connecting to a cross platform from Windows to Linux. I'm connecting, right? So for connecting, we need a third party tool. Okay, we need a third party tool which is a SSH client. Okay, in order to connect it to Linux servers, we need SSH. We are going to use SSH protocol, and for using this SSH protocol, we need a SSH client. Okay, so what is that client? We are going to use a tool called PuTTY. Okay, PuTTY. PuTTY is a SSH client. Okay, there are like many SSH clients available in the market. Okay, you can go to Google and you can download any SSH client, but PuTTY is free, PuTTY is open source, and PuTTY is fast. Okay, and it is being used from many years. Okay, so how to install this PuTTY and all, we'll try to see this. Okay, so PuTTY is a free software, and it is a SSH client used to connect remotely to our Linux servers. Okay, and we can, once we log in, we can execute the commands and all. Okay, so you guys needs to download this and install this PuTTY in your laptop and desktops. Okay, later as our classes proceed, we will try to use some other client. Okay, we will try to use some other software to connect it to the servers. Okay, as of now, just try to download this PuTTY. So how to download this? To browser and type www.putty.org. Okay, so this is the official software website. So I'm pasting this website in the chat box. If you guys are doing parallelly, if some guys are doing the practical parallelly, you can use this link. Okay, I have, I have given the link in the chat box. Okay, so you can see here, download PuTTY. Okay, so if you click on this here, your PuTTY software will be downloaded. Once PuTTY is downloaded, double click on it and select next, 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 and install. Your software will be installed. Once your software is installed successfully, you can verify it. You can just click on start button and type PuTTY, and you will be able to see PuTTY installed. Okay, now right click on it and click on open file location. Okay, right click on it and click on open file location, and you can see something like this. Okay, you can see something like this. Okay, all this putty related softwares will be installed. So what you can do, the you can keep the putty shortcut on the desktop. Okay, so once you install putty, okay, there is one more tool installed called Puttygen. Okay, Puttygen will also be installed. Okay, so these two tools are, we'll be using these two tools for connecting to our Linux server. So what is the purpose of Puttygen? I'll be explaining that in coming few minutes. Okay, as of now, let's try to log into the AWS EC2. Okay, and try to launch the Linux server. Okay, so if you guys have any doubts how to launch this server and all, okay, yesterday how did we do that, all those doubts will be cleared today. Okay, so what you will do, click on launch instance. Okay, click on launch instance, and you can see here all these operating systems, right? Amazon Linux, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, SUSE Linux, okay, Ubuntu, all these are Linux based operating. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the first one. Okay, first operating system, so which is Amazon Linux, right? So this is free tier eligible. Free tier eligible means users who are using a free tier account, they can use this operating system and they will be not charged anything. Okay, they'll be not charged any amount. So you can select this Amazon Linux and click on select. Okay, so once you click on this select button, the second stage is choose instance type. Yesterday we have discussed, right? There are like 7 stages in launching an instance. Okay, and here we can see we are in the second stage where we are going to select the instance type. Yesterday we have told that each instance will be having a predefined configuration setup, right? So this instance type is having, the T2 micro is having 1 CPU core and 1 GB of RAM, right? Similarly, we have different instance types which will be having different set of CPU core and CPU RAM, right? So here we can see free tier eligible. Okay, T2 micro is a free tier eligible instance type, which means that if a free tier user account is using this T2 micro, he'll be not charged. Okay, so we have to select this. You can select other one also, but you will be charged. Okay, you will be charged for your account. So be careful with that. If you're fine with the amount and billing, you can go ahead and select other instance types as well. Okay, so as of now, I'm selecting T2 micro and clicking on next configure instance details. Okay, now here we have seen configure instance details. Okay, there are like lot of options. Okay, here as of now we are going to discuss the first one, which is number of instances. Okay, number of instances, that here, which means that the number which we mention in this box, okay, those many instances will be launched. Okay, so here one means only one server will be launched. If you want to launch 100 server, you have to mention 100 number here. Okay, 100 servers will be launched at a time. That is the power of AWS cloud, guys. Okay, at a time you can launch multiple servers. Okay, so fine, so we are keeping one here and we are going on with the next one, add storage.
Venkat,
Yesterday we have seen, yep.
yeah, if you select 100 servers, then we have 750 hours free only,
Mhm.
right? Monthly. Maybe it will be consumed costly.
Yes, yep, yes. For example, if you have launched if for example if you have launched 100 servers, okay, and you have kept it for like 7 hours continuously. Okay, 7 hours, if you have kept it for continuously, how much it will consume? All the 100 servers will consume 100 into 7, 700 hours, right? So approximately, like, if you keep it for like 7.5 hours, your 750 hours free tier usage will be completed, and after that you will be charged. Okay, your account will be charged amount. Got my point, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So the next one is add storage. So yesterday we have discussed while launching the Windows instance, the default size is 30 GB. Okay, 30 GB. Now in Windows that is 30 GB, but coming to Linux, okay, we will be seeing that as 8 GB. 8 GB is the default storage. Okay, so if you want to increase this default 8 GB storage, if you want to add one more drive to your machine, you can click on add new volume. Okay, add new volume, and you can mention the volume type. Okay, how much size you want to add, you can add it. If you want to add a 30 GB drive, you can add 30. If you want to add 100 GB, you can add 100 GB. Okay, so remember that. For a free tier account, you can add up to 30 GB of storage space. Okay, 30 GB will be free. More than 30, you will be paying for that. Okay, so here what it will happen, 8 GB is already present, right? So up to 30 means you can add up to 22 GB you can add. So 22 plus 8, 30 GB, right? Which is free for your machine. More than this, you will be charged. Okay, clear, right? So for a Linux machine, you can add like this. Okay, since we don't want this additional space as of now, I'm going to delete this drive by clicking on this cross button in the corner. Okay, clear, right? 8 GB is the default drive. Fine, clicking on the next one, add tags. Okay, so as of now, I'm not going to add anything, any name to my server. Okay, so next, configure security group. So yesterday we have discussed configure security group. Security group is for opening the ports for the server. Okay, it acts as a door for acting for communicating the different services. For example, if you are installing a web server, we need HTTP port, right? So we need to open HTTP port to communicate with the web server. Similarly, if you are maintaining a database, you need to open the database port, right? So in that way, if you're going to create a mail server, you have to open the exchange server details like IMAP or pop port, right? All these details, all these ports has to be open. So basically security group is nothing but opening up the inbound and outbound rules for the ports of the server. Okay, so here what we have, yesterday we have created a group, right? Launch wizard 4, we'll be selecting that launch wizard 4. Okay, or we can see we have existing group like launch wizard 3 as well. What is this launch wizard 3 is having? It is having the default port of SSH, which is 22. Okay, port number is 22 for this SSH port. Okay, and where did I keep the source? The source is present where? Okay, 0000/0. Okay, since a few people have joined for the first time today, what I will do, I'll select the new group. Okay, I'm going to create a new group here. So click on create a new group, and this is the group name. You can give any name. Let me give uh, Linux server security group. Okay, Linux server SG security group. Okay, so what is this having? This group is going to have all these ports open. What are the ports we are going to mention here? All these ports will be opened for this group. And every time we don't have to create this. Okay, what we can do from the next time onwards, we can click on this select existing group and we can select this group name. Okay, so every time we don't have to do this. Okay, so fine. In this Linux server, we are opening the default port for a Linux is 22. Okay, AWS understands that we are launching Linux server. That is why it has automatically opened SSH port. In addition to this, if you want to open any new port, what you can do, you can click on add rule, and in the drop down, you can select the port number. Whatever the port number you want to select, you can select. Okay, like if it is a website, if you are going to make this Linux server as a web server, you can open HTTP port, okay, which is 80. And if you want to open any, it is a if it is a mail server, you can open POP3 or IMAP. Okay, if it is a database, you can select MS SQL or Postgres SQL. Okay, like that, different ports are there, you can open it up. Clear, right? So I'm not going to add any new port as of now because already SSH port is open, which is needed for communicating. So I'm going to delete this. Okay, so here
This is
see
custom
this
one.
port number. Sorry, I didn't
We are
understand.
talking about custom one. Source is the custom one. Like that, others are there
I mean,
in
see
the
the port number. Are you talking
So first,
port
No,
number?
I'm
We can.
talking about the column called source.
what is language, what is technology
Okay,
framework.
there is
So
arrow mark.
Study Spring Basics,
yes,
which are
If you
required to
expand
learn Spring
anywhere,
Boot.
my IP also there.
Then few chapters
yes,
on
Like
Spring
whatever
Boot.
those.
Then we will be entering into
yes.
Spring
Custom means,
Security.
can you repeat again?
Then we
Custom
will
means
be
what
dealing with
exactly?
what
I can configure our own
microservices.
IP address, like who
In
is
the
accessible
discussion,
like
we
that?
also study what Spring Cloud
So custom
Which,
means,
related to
yeah. So
microservices and Spring
basically,
Cloud.
we have three
These are
types.
the
Okay,
various
my
tools that
IP
I'm
means
going to cover.
my particular
And if you
laptop's
count,
IP.
you will get nearly 20
Okay,
plus. And a lot of new tools I have added,
okay. So
like
this is my IP,
Robo3D,
the my laptop's IP,
Jenkins,
and
Docker.
anywhere means any.
Okay, all
If you
these
keep
are
this anywhere, people who are from different parts of the
Finder,
world, whoever is
Sonar,
having access to the internet,
ELK,
they can use their laptop
tools
and they
that
can
are
connect to
required
this
for
Linux
real time,
instance.
along with
And
the
coming to
regular tools
custom,
like Mail and
see,
Thread,
in real
JDK,
time when we are
monitoring,
working in a
Outlook.
company, the
So these
network
are the
admin guy,
various
okay,
tools.
they will give
Okay,
us a
I know
VLAN IDs,
lots
okay,
of
a
people.
certain set of IP addresses. Those IP addresses has to be mentioned here, or the VLAN range. Okay, so basically it's a networking concept. What are the VLAN range is there, right? The networking subnet, we have to mention it here, and those IP addresses will be having access to this Linux server. Okay,
okay.
got my point? Basically, that's a Linux. That's a networking concept where the networking guy, the networking team person, will give us the IP addresses range. Okay, the subnet. So that subnet has to be mentioned here, and using that subnet, what are the IP addresses will come under that subnet? Those laptops, okay, those IP addresses will be able to connect it to this Linux instance. Okay, I hope that's clear. So today,
So here,
what I'm going to do, I'm going to create.
yeah.
Yeah, tell me.
So again, custom means I can give the CID or IP range we can give, or particular direct IP address also we can give, like.
If you want to give a particular IP address, you can give it. Okay.
So
If
suppose
you want
I
to
want
give a
only
particular, for example,
five system I want to be accessible, like 5 IP address I can give like that.
yes, yes. See, for example, see, if I keep my IP, this is my laptop
Okay.
IP. Okay. And if I keep anywhere, any person will be able to connect. I don't want I don't want to connect, as well as I don't want to keep it as anywhere. Okay. I feel that that is risky. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep custom and I'm going to give your IP address. So tell me your IP address. I'll give it here. Okay. So what you can do, only you will be able to have, you will be having the access to connect it to this server. Okay,
Okay.
got my point.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
what are the IP addresses are there? We'll be separating with comma. Okay, we'll be separating
Okay.
with comma. One IP address, for example, 0.0.0.0, comma, another IP
Okay.
address. Similarly, like that, we'll be continuing. What are the IP addresses are there? Right? We'll be continuing like that. Since this is a demo, what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep it as anywhere because there is nothing to lose, right? There is no important data inside that server. So even if anyone tries to connect, they need the PEM file, right? So they'll be not able to access it. So I'm keeping it as anywhere, which means that this server is open to the world. Anyone can, any person from anywhere in this world, they can connect it. That is what I'm getting a warning here. See this, rules with the source 0.0.0.0/0 allow all IP addresses to your instances. We recommend setting security group rules to allow the access from known IP addresses only. So it is AWS is giving us a warning that you have kept this as anywhere. This is very risky. Do you really want to continue or not? Okay, so it is giving us a warning. We can ignore that. There's no problem with that because we don't have much data to lose, right? Okay. Now you can see here, you can see something like this. See here. 0.0.0.0/0, right? Again, comma, :/0. Okay, so two things are here. This is one part, this is one part. This is IPv4 addresses. Okay, IPv4 addresses, and this is IPv6. Okay, we know that there is a concept called IPv6. Okay, and this is a networking concept, and not many companies or not many people are using this IPv6 concept in the today's world. Okay, this is a developing technology, and in coming future IPv6 will be used by many of the companies and many of the people, right? So AWS is already understood, AWS has already understood that this concept is going to come in the future, so they have integrated this IPv6 as well. So once I keep anywhere, this particular server is accessible both with IPv4 concept as well as it is accessible with IPv6 addresses as well. Okay, so that's the reason we are getting two things. One is this and one is this part. Okay, understood that. Fine. So I'm clicking on review and launch. Okay, this is the final step where we are going to review what are the options which you have selected, and we're going to launch our server. So review, and these are the options which you have selected, right? All the image, instance type, the security group, what are the ports we have opened. See here, two things we can see here, right? See here, two SSH ports has been opened. One is for IPv4 and one is for IPv6. Okay, so there is no problem with that. Okay, if you want to delete this IPv6 port, okay, you can delete it, or you can keep it. Okay, there is no problem with that. If you want to delete it, what you can do, you can click on edit security group, edit security group. Okay, and you have to, what you have to do, you have to mention customized. You have to mention like this. You have to mention like this, and only IPv6 port will be opened. Sorry, only IPv4 port will be open. Okay, so I'm going to keep it as anywhere and review and launch. Okay, you can
In that
verify the rest of the things
T4
as
and
well.
T6, what is
Instance.
the difference?
So basically, IPv4 are there, right? We are having IPv4 addresses, right? For example, 192.168.1.1. This is the IPv4 address. While coming to IPv6 address, the IPv6 address will be very much lengthy. Okay, it will be consisting of some more characters. Okay, so basically IPv6 addresses is for is the coming technology. So the networking world has been designed in such a way that they are estimating that at a time all these addresses will be consumed. Okay, all the IPv4 addresses will be consumed at a certain point of time in the coming future. So in order to address all the IP addresses, okay, in order to assign IP addresses to the rest of the new machines, they have created this concept called IPv6, where these new IPv6 addresses will be assigned to the new machines. Okay, so basically, in simple words, what I can say is IPv4 addresses are there, right? That will be consumed, that will be completed at a certain point, right? So in order to assign the IP addresses for new machines, new mobiles, new laptops, this IPv6 has been created. So the main difference between IPv4 and IPv6 is the numbers, okay? The numbers which you are going to have. So basically in IPv4, we'll be seeing something like this: 192.168.1.1 or 10.0.0.1, something like this we'll be able to see, right? But in IPv6, the number will be very, very big. Okay, the IP address will be very big.
Is it any
Is it fine?
security purpose that extra numbers are added T4 or what we
No,
can
no.
say
I
that
mean,
this?
this IPv4, this IPv4 IP addresses are completing, right? So there is we can't use the IPv4 addresses, right? Once the IP address is already consumed, all this assigned to some different servers. So what they can do, they can't assign the same address to same different system, right? So that's the reason IPv6 has a big number. The numeric label will be little bit big. Okay.
But both the purpose is same, right? Connecting or whatever.
Yeah, both the purpose is same, and the main difference is that it will be having both alphabets as well as numbers. Okay, so basically it will look something like this. It will be looking something like 001 colon 0 colon 9D38 colon 6AB8 colon something like this. It will be looking something like this. Okay, and the characters will be very bit. I mean, this entire IP address will be little bit big when compared to the IPv4. That's a networking concept. We don't have to worry about it as of now. Okay, so these IPv6 addresses and all, using these, all these things will be coming into the future. Okay, that will come in the future part. So as of now, as being a DevOps engineer, we don't have to worry about it. That's a networking concept. Okay. So fine. So coming back to the slide, okay, we are discussing the launch of EC2 instance. So here we are going to click on the launch button and our server will be launched. So here it is saying choose an existing key pair. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new key pair. Okay. In the drop down, select create a new key pair. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new key pair called Linux machine. Okay. Linux machine 1. So click on the download key pair. Told you, right? Download key pair. Key pair is a privacy enhanced mail. It's a file. Okay, it's a file which stands for privacy enhanced mail, which will be having SSL based encryption. All the data is there, right? The password and all, it will be encrypted inside this file. Okay, so download, click on this and your file will be downloaded. Okay, linuxmachine.pem. So click on this launch instance. Our instance has been launched. Okay, click on this view instance and our instance will be launched. So it will take some time. Okay, it will take like 1 or 2 minutes to get ready. Okay, you can see the instance state here, which is showing it as pending. Okay, you can refresh it by clicking on this refresh button. See here, it is showing it as running, which means that our server is up and running currently, which means that now we can log in into our server. So basically, to explain you, it took so much of time, but if you know how to launch the server and all, you can launch it within 1 minute, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to log in into this server. Okay, so click on this. Once you click on this, you can see public IPv4 address here. This is the public IPv4. Okay, and similarly, this is the private IPv4 address. Okay, basically this is an open internet address. This is the VLAN address inside this region, inside this Mumbai region. This is the VLAN address. Okay, fine. So how to connect? Click on this connect button. Click on this connect button, and here AWS will show how to connect. Okay, so click on this SSH client, click on this SSH client, and you can see here example. Okay, example, it will show example. How it is telling, you can copy from here, EC2 user. From here to here, you can copy it. Okay, so basically in AWS, whatever the instance you launch, right? In every EC2 instance, you will be having a default user called EC2-user. Okay, EC2-user is the default user, and using that EC2-user, you are going to log in into the Linux instance. Okay, so basically you have to copy from here to end. Here to end, you have to copy it. Fine. So we have downloaded this PEM file, right? This PEM file has to be converted. Okay, this PEM file has to be converted because we are logging from Windows to Linux, right? So Windows machine doesn't understand PEM file. It needs to be converted. For converting, we are going to use a tool called Puttigen. Okay, Puttigen we are going to use. So let me open that Puttigen. This is the Puttigen application. Doubts, guys? It is the Puttigen is going to be launched. Any doubts until now? Okay. So this is the Puttigen. generator. Okay, so basically what is happening here, let me explain it, then you can understand easily. So we have downloaded the PEM file, am I right? So PEM file is a SSL based encrypted file. Okay, now Windows doesn't understand this PEM file, it doesn't understand how to use this file, so we need to convert this file. Okay, we are converting this PEM file to PPK file. Okay, PPK. So PPK means what? See here, PPK stands for putty private key. Okay, putty private key, we are going to convert it and we are going to use that private key to log in into the EC2 instance. Okay, so we're going to convert from PEM to PPK file, and then we are going to use that PPK file to log in into the instance. Clear it until now? What is the process we are doing? So let me open that putty generator. So this is the putty gen. I'm going to load that file, then I'm going to save that. Okay, so load, click on load button, and what are the file you have downloaded? That will be in the downloads directory, and here select all files. Okay, select all files, and what is that file name? Linux. Okay, and once you click on that Linux, and your file will be imported. Okay, so see this, it is telling that successfully imported foreign key. Okay, click on OK, click on OK, and you have to select save private key. Okay, save private key, click on this and click on yes. It will ask where do you want to save. I'm going to save it on my desktop. Okay, so what I'm going to give, I'm going to give the same name, Linux machine 1. So see here, save the type, it is telling that putty private key PPK file. Okay, so click on save. That's it. See here on the desktop, we are able to see our PPK file has been saved. Okay, now I'm going to use this Linux machine 1 PPK file to log in into the server. Okay, clear until now? So I'm going to close this. This work is done. I'm going to use putty now to log in into the server. So told you, right? You have to copy from here, EC2 user to the last part. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it here. Okay, paste it here. And here on the left hand side, you can see something called SSH. Let me show you this. See here, SSH. Click on this SSH, and inside that SSH, expand this SSH, and you can see all these options. And here you can see authentication. Okay, AUTH. Right? Click on this AUTH and browse the file. What are the file you have downloaded? Select that file. What is the file on the desktop? It is there, Linux machine 1. Right? Open and open. So it will ask, do you really want to connect? Click on yes. That's it. You are inside the Linux server. This is the terminal. This is the bash terminal of Linux server. Let me increase the font. You guys can see it. Color change. Increase the font to 16. Okay, apply. See here, this is the instance. Okay, I hope you are able to read this. Okay, using username EC2 user. Is the font enough, or do you want me to increase the font? Let me know if you want me to increase the font. If you are able to read it, fine. So see here, this is the
Once again,
EC2
show how to
instance.
increase.
Okay,
Right click.
so here on the top of
Okay,
the
okay.
white bar is there at the border. Right click, go to change settings. Here in window we have appearance. Here we have change button. Select the font size you want to select. Okay, fine. So this is how we launch our EC2 Linux instances. Okay, so see here, EC2, it is showing as EC2. Okay, which operating system? Amazon Linux. Okay, and in tomorrow class we'll start our Linux commands. What are those Linux commands? How to use those Linux commands and all, we'll try to see from tomorrow onwards. Okay, clear, right? How to launch an EC2 instance. Basically, we select all the options in EC2 service. We start that server, we download that PEM file, we convert that PEM file to PPK file using PuttyGen, and then we'll be using Putty tool to log in into the server. Okay, two tools are being used here, PuttyGen as well as Putty. Okay, in coming classes, once everyone is familiar with launching the instances and all, I'll be using one more tool called MobaXterm. Okay, MobaXterm, which is more sophisticated and more user friendly. Okay, fine. So any doubts until now, guys?
What is that tool name you are telling?
See this one.
MOBA Extreme. Okay, extern.
Okay,
MOBA extern.
MobaXterm.
Okay.
Fine. So any doubts, guys, until now?
Venkat, so tomorrow onwards, Linux commands will be start, right?
Yeah, slowly we'll be starting our Linux commands. Also, we'll be seeing the concepts of AWS as well. Okay, so
Parallelly,
what
like,
we are going to do, we are going,
yeah.
yeah, both the things will be going on parallelly. Commands as
Okay.
well as
Okay.
setting up our web server, seeing the auto scaling part, load balancer, all these things we'll be discussing. Okay.
So
So
Linux
what I'm going
command
to do
generally, how many
today,
days it
I'm
will
going
be?
Linux fundamentals. It will take around 3 to 4, maybe like 3 to 4 days. It will take
Okay.
the entire
Okay.
Linux fundamentals,
Okay.
because we have to teach from scratch, right? All those things. So it will take some time.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm going to upload these images, guys, these steps in the WhatsApp group and the Google Drive. So Google Drive, it is going to take some time. So you guys can use this image, which will be there in the WhatsApp group, and you can start practicing launching the instances in Windows as well as in Linux. Okay. So any other doubts, guys, from anyone? People who has joined for the first time, if you guys are interested in this course, let me know if you have any doubts with respect to the course or any other details. If you want any information, you can ask. So Ram is asking, is YAML included in this course? So basically YAML, we'll be discussing YAML in Ansible class, Ram. So while we are learning Ansible tool, we will be learning YAML coding as well. Okay, how to write YAML playbooks and all. Okay. Also, YAML will be coming under Docker Compose concept as well. So there also we'll be discussing YAML. Okay. I hope that answered your question. Any other doubts, guys? So guys,
Yeah.
for the new joiners, if you guys are interested, you can drop down your WhatsApp number. I'm going to add your WhatsApp number in the group so that you can follow the updates related to the class. Okay. Yeah.
So Venkat,
Someone was
one
saying,
question, like whatever the tools you mentioned in syllabus, that should be completely detailed
uh-huh.
you can provide, right? Step by step, like how to configure from everything, like.
Yes, of course. That's the whole concept, right? That's what we are going to do here. So basically, what are the tool we are selecting? We are going to see from end to end how to set up that, how to practice it, what are the commands, what are the concepts, all those things we are going to discuss it. Okay.
And like after that, we can maintain same thing in our company also, right? That much knowledge we can get, right? How to
Yes.
use that tools and
You
all.
can Yeah, so the whole purpose of this course is that you can showcase your experience as 3 to 4 years of experience. You can keep it in your resume. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
3 to 4
Okay.
years you can keep it. And what are the tools we are discussing? What are the concepts we are discussing? That will be enough for a 3 to 4 years experienced guy. Okay,
Okay. Great.
yeah. So any other doubts, guys? Someone is asking, how many days it will take to finish the course? Okay, so Rajesh, we are going to discuss. We are going to connect for 60 days, 60. Okay, I mean 60 is the number which I'm telling, but we'll complete before 60 only. I'm pretty sure that we'll complete within 50 to 55 days.
Okay, sir.
Okay, but for
50 to
yeah,
55
for
days
safe
means
side, I'm telling
sessions,
as
right?
60 days
Not days, sessions, I guess, right?
sessions. which means that
Because
50 to
Saturday
55
Sunday we
hours.
don't have, right? Saturday Sunday
Okay.
we don't have, right? Yeah.
No, we don't have it. We connect only
Okay.
on
Okay.
Monday to Friday. Okay, Monday to Friday, 07 a.m. IST, Indian Standard Time. So guys who are connecting from abroad, US or UK or Australia, you guys can convert it into your time zone and you can connect it. Okay.
Sir, I have a
So
doubt. May I know
yes.
may I know what kind of material we will be getting through this course? Like material wise?
So what are the tool we are discussing, right? For example, today we have discussed EC2 instance launching in Linux, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share it in a Word document. Okay. Basically, once our Google Drive, see the Google Drive is getting setting up. Okay. So it will take some time, like 1 or 2 days. And once the Google Drive is set up, the entire material, first the video material, which means that the session which you have watched, okay, that video session will be recorded and the session will be uploaded. The video will be uploaded so that if you have missed that class, later on you can connect to that Google Drive and you can watch that video whenever you want. Second material is what are the document which you are seeing on my screen, right? I'm going to share that document in the Word format in the Google Drive. Okay. Apart from that, the resumes which are required for creating your resumes for DevOps job, and a lot of other things will be coming up. Okay, the cheat sheets and all the commands and all these things will be shared with you in the Google Drive. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I hope that answered your question. So is it fine, Rajesh? I hope you understood. We are going to connect for 50 to 55 days, okay, based on the
Yes, sir.
all those weekends and holidays and all. And we'll be connecting from Monday to Friday, Saturday and Sunday is off, and we'll be connecting at 7 a.m. Indian Standard Time. Yeah, someone was
Okay.
saying something.
Yeah, I'm only Rajesh, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, fine. Thanks, Rajesh.
Mm.
So is it fine,
Hello,
Ram?
sir.
I hope that answered your question. Yeah, please tell me.
Hello, sir. My name is Vaishampa. I'm attending your session today. So this course is going to cover all the fundamentals required for DevOps um, for beginners, or is this one is for intermediate or advanced course?
Yeah, hi Vaisampa. So basically, yes, to answer your question, this course will be coming between, okay, this will be lying between beginner and intermediate. Okay,
It's a
so
beginner
this will,
and intermediate course.
yeah, this will, yeah,
So
all these tools
I'm
which, yeah, please go
okay.
ahead.
So I'm
Yep.
actually a beginner, so I would like to know in 50 days, do I get to learn sufficient information or hands-on experience to get a DevOps position or something like that? Can I expect that from this course?
So basically, by the end of this course, you will be able to understand the concepts of DevOps, how to set up the CI/CD pipeline and all, what are the tools involved, and all those things will be, you'll be getting a clear picture, okay, for what are the roles and responsibilities of a DevOps engineer and all. And what you can do is, see, I'm going to teach you the concepts and all. You have to practice it, and the more and more you have to read some blogs, you have to watch some videos and all, the real-time
Right.
scenarios. You have to learn it, and then you will be able to. You can start attending the interviews and all. Okay.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that, sir. So, anyway, we are going to research from other resources. And what are the basic requirements to start this course? Like, do I need to get a AWS environment? Do I need to purchase that or something? Because I missed your yesterday's class. I told you I'm
No
actually
problem.
totally
So
beginner.
yeah, no problem with that. So, okay, so what are the demo session which we have attended earlier in this week? You can watch that video once the Google Drive is set up. So in that Google
Mhm.
Drive, all the demo sessions and yesterday's class will be uploaded. You can watch that video. And coming to your question, so see here, we are learning DevOps here. Already I have answered this. So DevOps, we are learning DevOps here. Okay, and a
Good.
lot of DevOps tools are running on Linux environment. Okay, Linux.
Mm-hmm.
So except Jenkins. Jenkins is a Java web framework which will be having a beautiful graphical user interface. Apart from that, all the Git, Docker, Ansible, Kubernetes, all these things are having Linux environment commands. Okay, we have to practice Linux commands. So in order to practice
Okay.
Linux commands, we need Linux server. Okay, for launching that Linux server, we are using AWS cloud platform. Okay, in AWS we are going to launch our EC2 instance, which you have seen just now, and inside that
Correct.
server we are going to practice our Linux commands. So this is the hierarchy which you are going to follow. AWS, setting up AWS, understand AWS, then start learning Linux, then we'll go into the DevOps tools. Okay, so yes, to answer your
Okay.
question, yes, we need
Okay.
AWS account. So what I suggest you is go on with the go to Google, create your Google AWS
Mm-hmm.
account. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's a free tier account. Account, create your free tier account. It's
Mm-hmm.
very simple, just like your Gmail and Facebook account. You can create your AWS account as well. Give your
Okay.
basic details, name, mobile number, address, and they will be asking you the credit card or debit card details. They will debit like 2 rupees. I mean, in India it is 2 rupees. I'm not sure with the US. So they'll 2 rupees will be debited from your account, and after that your account will be activated. So by default they will give 750 hours of free usage. Okay, 750 free hours. Okay, so
Okay.
you can practice
So
it.
we are actually
So
virtually implementing we are virtually downloading we are working on Linux environment.
exactly,
So
we are
I
working
need
on
not
remote.
to practically, yeah, remotely.
Correct.
So I
So
need
we
not
can
to
do that
practically download the
locally
Linux.
also. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So we can set up our Linux locally as well, like by installing VMware or Oracle VirtualBox. But I don't want to do that because I don't want to use my system resources. And also, we need AWS experience as well, right? Basics of
Correct.
AWS is needed for a DevOps engineer. So that's the reason
Mhm.
this course has been designed in such a
Virtual.
way that
Yeah.
it covers both AWS as well as DevOps. Okay. So a lot of companies in real time will be hosting their infrastructure on AWS or Azure. Okay, and that's the reason I have selected AWS as my cloud platform. Okay,
Mhm.
any
Thank you,
other
sir.
doubts?
You answered all my questions. Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no problem. Thanks.
Venkat, one more thing in
So
AWS, what are the things will be
yeah,
covered like virtualization, all those things can cover?
see, I'm going to teach AWS, which is required for DevOps. Okay, I'm not going to the deeper part. As I have already mentioned, AWS is a completely separate course. It will take around 90 days to complete that course. So I'm not going to teach each and everything in AWS because our main concept is to learn DevOps here, right? So we are discussing EC2 concepts inside the EC2 like auto scaling, okay, load balancer, elastic load balancer, and after that we'll be seeing CloudWatch as well. Okay, and some more concepts of AWS. Okay,
Storage
so these
related
are
anything? Storage and
uh, no, we are not going to see the S3 part. Okay, because that is not, I mean, that is not coming under the DevOps curriculum, so we are not going to
okay.
discuss that. Okay, but we'll see if we have some time by the end of this course. If we have some time, we'll try to discuss some more concepts of AWS. Okay.
Yeah, one question I have. So basically, which protocol is there, right? I mean,
Which
for every server, for connecting to Linux server, we need a SSH protocol, right? For web server, HTTP, and for
yes.
database connectivity, we need different server, different protocol.
So let me clear. If you have asked that, we need different ports for connecting to different servers.
Yes.
We are using these ports for, see, ports are purposing. Okay, they have a purpose, unique purpose. Okay, ports work on a specific unique purpose. Okay, so for example, if you one second. So basically, in your Linux server, if you are running a web, for example, it is a Exchange server. Okay, there is a mail. It is a mail server, and it is handling all our mails and all. So what you have to do? We have to open up a port called POP3 or IMAP, right? So once you open these ports, then only the mails will be communicated with the users and all. Okay, mails will be going, incoming and outgoing of the mails will be happening. In the same way, if you are, for example, if you have installed a web package like Nginx or Apache Apache Nginx or HTTPD, or for example, if you have installed Apache Tomcat or Jenkins in the server, what are the default ports of these servers? 8080. So 8080 is the port number which has to be opened. Then only you will be able to access that service. You'll be able to communicate that service from the outside the world. Okay.
Mail server is not a web server, sir. Not an application server.
So
Web server application
so see
server.
this. What is this server? What is this instance? We have launched this instance, right? This is a plain instance. This doesn't have anything, right? We have installed any package inside this server. Okay, so that's the reason I didn't open any other port. For example, if I'm going to install this, if I'm going to install the package called um, Apache Nginx or
You have opened
HTTP,
22 port,
yeah,
right?
yeah, we have opened 22 port for only for communicating to this instance. Okay, once I have logged into this instance, what I have to do, I have to install the packages. For example, I have installed HTTPD package. Okay, to access that HTTPD web page with my browser, what I have to open? I have to open 80 port. Okay, I have to open the 80 port. Did that answer your doubt? So basically 22 port is for communicating to that instance, logging into that instance, launching this shell terminal. Okay, and what are the other ports are there, right? 80 or 8080 and any other ports, 3306 for the database and all. So these ports has to be opened for accessing that particular service. What are the service we have installed inside that? In order to access that service, we're going to open that specific port. I hope that answered your doubt.
Yeah. It's like for accessing the service or for accessing the server. That's my doubt.
Yeah, for accessing that server, we have opened 22 port, right? SSH port. Then only we will be able to logging in. Okay, right? Since we have opened the SSH port 22, that's the reason we were successful in connecting to the instance.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. For connecting, see, for launching the instance, we have to open one port, and to access this application, what are the application which is running in the backend? In order to access that application, we have to open different port. Okay, so just simply remember that for different purpose, we have different ports needs to be open. Okay.
Okay, my last question, sir. So, see, if we deploy database or our application on a Tomcat server or or any other web server, right, sir?
Yeah.
For Tomcat, we'll have a different port, right? For
Yes.
yeah. So, is it like if we deploy that RDB, I mean a database on Tomcat, if we deploy that service on Tomcat, we need to access that Tomcat server only, right? Not the service, right?
Not the service.
Okay,
Yes,
so just
yes,
the
we need to access
service.
only the application, Tomcat application. So see
Okay.
here, I'll give you one example. This is our server, and you have installed Apache Tomcat. Okay, Apache Tomcat has been installed. So what is the default port for Apache Tomcat? 8080. Okay, in this server only you have installed Jenkins as well. Okay, Jenkins is also installed here. And you have, what is the default port for Jenkins? 8080. But if you keep this 80, both will come into the conflict. Okay, you can't access both the applications because once you try to access Tomcat, it will the system will get confused whether you are trying to access Tomcat or Jenkins, which is running both on 8080 port. So whatever the either one of the application port number has to be changed. Okay, either one of the port number has to be changed. So since Tomcat is already set up with 80, you have to open Jenkins with any other port like 8081 or something 8090, something. Modify the default port. Okay,
No, I'm
and
not
what you have to
talking
do,
about
you
the
have to
port.
use,
I'm not talking about port, sir. I'm
okay.
talking about the protocol.
Yeah, what protocol? Can you ask your question once again?
No, I'm talking about the protocol.
Yeah, protocol.
So,
HTTP protocol.
in order to communicate with Tomcat, we need HTTP protocol.
Yeah, we need to open this port. In the security group, we need to open the protocol called HTTP.
So this is on which port? HTTP is on which port?
8080.
On Tomcat. HTTP is
This
on.
is also HTTP port 8080. Okay, now you should ask me, Venkat, Genesis is not running on 8080, right? It is running on 8090. Then what you have to do? We have to open a customized port. Customized port with the number 8090.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Any other doubts, guys?
Sir, may I know by what time we should let you know regarding the enrollment?
Yeah, good question. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share you the mobile number and email address of DurgaSoft. Okay, you guys can talk to the management once, and
Okay.
please confirm your enrollment by today or tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, sir. And sir, may I know any language requirements which is suitable for uh, uh, DevOps, like Python or Java, which is most suitable for DevOps in particular?
We are not developing it. We are not, as a DevOps engineer, we are not developing anything here. We'll be working together. We'll be collaborating with operation team as well as development team. So we'll be not developing anything, but for automation purposes, every DevOps engineer should know at least one scripting language, whether it's Shell, Ruby, Perl, Python, or JavaScript, whatever it is. But my preference is, you guys, since you guys are like learning DevOps here for the first time, so my suggestion is you go ahead with Python scripting. Okay. And also in our course curriculum, I have included Python basics. Okay, Python scripting basics.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So since you guys have joined today, right? You have shared your mobile number and all. I'm going to add your mobile number into your WhatsApp group, and again I'm going to upload the course curriculum. You can check that curriculum once again. What are the tools which we are going to discuss? What are the concepts we are going to see? And what are the tools we are going to see? Okay. Yeah, any other doubts, guys? I have shared the mobile number and email ID in the chat box. If you have any queries with respect to the course, like course details, fees and all, you can talk to them. Okay, talk to the DurgaSoft management. Any other doubts, guys? Okay, fine. So shall we conclude this call for today? Fine.
Sometimes
So
they
let's
Yes.
catch up tomorrow, guys. Yeah, so let's catch up tomorrow at 7 a.m. Okay, and we'll see some more a new concept of launching a EC2 instance and installing the web package inside that. Okay, so thank you so much for joining, guys, and let's catch up tomorrow at 7 a.m. Okay, have a great day.
Thank you.
It may